to Exit Stage Left. I am your host, Niti, and we are broadcasting live from the Food Church here in North Carolina. And we are people at peace, and we have declared peace to all nations around the world. This is not a promotional channel or marketing channel. We are shining a light on knowledge that is being hidden from you, and we are sharing the truth about your birthright and your inheritance. If you have any questions, please put them in all caps and only enter them once per show. Today, I'm joined by Debra-Ann, facilitator of the Ombudsman Way, and Tammy Healy, the host of the American States Assemblies podcast and co-leader of the Outreach Think Tank. So welcome, ladies. Welcome. Today is Happy Tuesday.
Welcome, welcome. I have to say, two things I learned growing up: never talk about politics and never talk about religion. so guess what? We're here all about our political status, which is not politics, but we're going to talk a little bit about religion. So I wanted you to, before we even delved into some of these things, we talk about how the laws that we live on are natural law, the law of nature, and nature's God. And then anything else that we write down is men interpreting that. And that would be true of all scriptures. But that said, in all scriptures, these two ideas keep coming up about, I'm going to talk about the expanded golden rule. And, Anna talks about the law of gratitude and the law of love. And in the Bible, it says it a little bit differently. So anyway, we're going to open that up with the idea that one of the things, this is not about us learning about how people are supposed to behave so that we can judge everybody out there. No. That's not what this is about. This is about learning about these laws so that we live them and then give grace and love and forgiveness to everybody else, including ourselves. Yeah. You guys want to take it from there?
Oh, I love this topic today, Debra-Ann. And, hello, everybody. And Niti, thanks for having me back again. And I really enjoy these conversations with you ladies because I get to talk about things that nobody else wants to talk about because it's been forbidden to talk about. And it's such a beautiful thing that we can get into these discussions that each and every one of us have a different perspective on these things, and we get to talk about them with each other with kindness, compassion, and respect for each other. And so that's one of the things that I love about coming onto this podcast and being able to have these discussions with you ladies. And I guess, for me, I grew up a Christian. We started off as Catholics. We're no longer Catholics, but we do still follow the Christian faith. I have learned some things about the religion itself that, is disappointing and, just like everything else that we're learning about our government and history and things of that nature. But nonetheless, the one thing that, really holds me down and still allows me to proudly say that I still follow that faith or that religion is because I follow Yeshua's ways, and his ways were to love each other and show gratitude, like you're speaking about, Debra-Ann. And everything about his life was very inspiring. Hence, why there's I believe such a movement. But and I don't hold myself down to any such beliefs unless I have something that changes my mind, and I think that if we all keep that open mind to learning, different possibilities out there where it helps us to grow more, I think that's kind of the place that we need to come from. And still at the end of the day, I always like to lead with love, compassion, understanding, kindness, all those things. And by the way, those are high vibrational frequencies that all of us, if we could get there and resonate, this world would be such a better place. And I do believe that that's what Yeshua, otherwise known as Jesus, but his real name was Yeshua. And that was really what he was here to teach us and show us. And he wanted us to follow his teachings. And so that's where I find myself. And one of the things that I struggled with as a Christian was this concept of sin, and how they all teach us, oh, you're just a sinner. Everybody's a sinner. And I remember thinking, I don't have any malicious bone in my body that makes me a sinner. Yeah, of course I make mistakes. And then it finally dawned on me that technically a sinner isn't somebody that does something maliciously. A sinner is really somebody that is here inexperienced. So I say I'm an experienced person, like I'm here having an experience and learning, right? Like when you're inexperienced, you make mistakes and then you can course correct, because when we know better, then we're called to do better. And so if you sin, you're then there to repent for your sins, right? It's to within your heart say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry I made that mistake. And if I hurt you, I'm so sorry that I hurt you. And please forgive me, right? And you're coming at it from a heartfelt feeling, and just then correcting your ways. It's not repenting of your sins is not giving you then a green light to go ahead and do it again and then keep coming back and asking for forgiveness and, being absolved of your sins to just keep doing that same offense. It's in your heart. You've recognized that you've made a mistake and now you're going to correct it and you're going to move forward and do better.
I have to, I hope you don't need to if I follow, because we have some similar things in common. I was raised Roman Catholic, but in my teens, I left all of that and I church hopped. But I think one of the interesting things about that word sin is my life turned around when I refused to accept that term because I'm saying, hey, that's not me. I didn't choose to do something bad. Okay, so maybe I made a mistake. Yeah, what? This is really, if we want to use the term self-governing, that's what this is about. This is, I did something that hurt somebody. I didn't mean to. So how do we make it right? Or then talk about being human. I mean, because we all are. Okay, so I shouldn't use the word human. What word should I use? Men and women.
Mankind.
Right. Living men and women. Yeah.
So I'm part of mankind, and the baser parts of mankind are jealousy, greed, lying. I mean, we kind of grow up and grow out of that, but that's still all self-governing. And I would couch the word sin and maybe change that to self-governing, because that's what we're learning to do. But so many times we don't even realize we're actually doing something that is harming ourselves and someone else. And so I guess that's all I have to say about that.
May I?
Please.
Yeah.
Okay, so friends, I'm gonna come at it all from a whole left field. So here I come. I don't believe in the sins at all. I believe that sinning is signing. And I believe that, first of all, I just want to say that I grew up in, a Hindu household. And our faith, the way that I was brought up, was, very much about personal relationship with our Creator. And the way that I was taught was that my relationship with Creator is mine alone. And there is nothing that stands between me and my Creator. It is just me and my Creator. And so I was always being taught how to communicate directly with my Creator and not allow anyone to stand between me and my Creator. I also grew up in North Carolina. So I'm a Carolina girl. I've been here since I was a year old. So I was born on New York. So I am a damn Yankee who is transplanted immediately into Carolina. and also from India. So, that's fun. And the funniest part about the whole thing was that our family, our entire family was on the other side of the planet. So it was just our immediate nuclear family, my mom and dad, and, me and my sister. And my mom, in order to really be able to, like create a community, because there were no Indians around. I mean, there were 5 Indian families on the whole entire state of North Carolina at that time. And so she was very open to, all, faiths. We've never believed that, any other faith was wrong. If you really comprehend Hinduism, then in our Bhagavad Gita and all the other scriptures that we have, they're so ancient. All of the Christian texts are written within those. So we already always follow them anyway. Like, Jesus was in India. So we, it's all written there. And so we also follow that. So my mom went to the various Mother's Morning Out programs, and we became very embedded in one particular church, which was, a Baptist church on North Carolina. But we had lots of friends who were, everything from Catholic to Lutheran to whatever. So, it didn't matter to us because, love is love, right? But so we studied the Bible and all of these other books, and, we walked on love everywhere. And at that time, everybody was really open and beautifully welcoming with us as well. There was nothing, going on there. But now I will say that my perspective today is the Bible is a law book. I was saying this to Debra-Ann. I was saying, I think it's a love story and a law book. And she said, it's a contract. And I was like, oh yeah, like I agree with that also. And so I don't talk about sinning. I think it's all about being a signer. And you know what? I believe I believe that Jesus and the whole story is like a metaphor. And so the point is to cancel the contracts, like cancel all the contracts. And we're being taught how to cancel contracts. We should not contract, or we have to be conscious about how we contract. And then it's so fascinating to then get to know Anna, and also then taking all of that and bringing it all back to the law of one. But so I've had a lot of time in the last 15 years since our daughter was medically murdered to reconcile this, right? And my self-healing work brought me into this wagon wheel. I boiled it all down to there was a central wagon wheel. It's called the orthodoxy that you hear me refer to all the time. And on the wagon wheel, there is all these little things, the banks, the government, education, all the media, music and sports. I know it's awful. Boys and Girl Scouts and any program like that. Church, jobs, university, right? So I think you get the idea. Like everything that we know right now. And this is tough to learn that all of this is lies and lies and lies and contracts. And if you're trying to go around and break all these contracts, that is hard. And especially if you're sharing a life with someone who doesn't maybe agree with you, or they see it a little bit differently, or whatever, right? And so definitely my husband and I have not come to this conclusion at the same moment, at the same time, in the same way. Maybe still not 100% in agreement. You know what I mean? Like I know he is a sports fanatic because he's a man's man who loves his sports. He loves it. And he loves to lift and he loves to work out and he, it's healthy and all of that. And so it's really difficult for him. And he knows and he doesn't want to accept probably the abuse of the athletes and, the entertainment people and, and who doesn't want to enjoy music? It's like really, really, I mean, it's a lot, right? It's a lot to have to divorce yourself from. But what does Anna say? You got to be honest. When are you going to stop lying? When are you going to stop lying? When are you going to stop lying? And so every single thing associated with this contract, these various million contracts, these endless, like as it is bound, it must be unbound. So if you're going through and you're canceling all these contracts, it's tough because you have to admit, like I am here admitting it. I live my life that way. And I know I'm probably one of the very few people who is very vocal all the time about, no, that's a lie. No, that's not true. No, and it's tough. It's hard to have friends. It's hard to be around people, and everyone's not there. And, I am fortunate that my husband allows me to do that. And he still is my best friend. He's still, we can't talk to each other about a lot of things, but we have that vibrational connection. So we love to be around each other silently, enjoying each other, enjoying our space together, doing things together. And if we have to just be quiet and not talk to each other so that we can enjoy our frequency without, actually talking about how sports is evil or whatever, we can do that and we still don't have to lie. And that's the point that I was trying to drill down to, is that he allows me to authentically be honest and not lie. And he knows that when we're with our extended family, when we're with friends or whatever, I'm going to say things under my breath, maybe too much. I'm going to verbalize, oh, that's not true. That's not really real or whatever, and I'll be saying
You're having a conversation by yourself over here.
Yeah, and because I don't want to, I can't do it anymore. I told him, I said, I just can't keep lying. It just drives me. It's too hard when I know that it's so not true.
I want to just, kind of clear something up, right? Because, we're saying that sports is evil, right? But I think what we want to clarify is the way that sports is operating right now, it's evil.
The corporate profiteering, abuse of the living man, not the fun part, like not
the actual sport itself. It's the way that it's being conducted and used as a way to extort somebody's talent in order to enrich somebody else.
The usury. It's the usury.
Yes.
It is the contracts. It is
right.
And they're all in contracts. So like, we're not talking about, hey guys, let's go out and play some touch football or, have fun or we're not talking about that.
Right.
We're talking about the professional athlete. We're talking about the abuse that they take. And it really saddens me because, they are really trying to be in a zone. They're really actually initially making an effort to just be amazing. And a lot of them are physically abusing themselves, ruining themselves, very much like models. What is the difference between a professional football player, professional basketball player, whatever, and a model? Like, nothing is different. It's the same abuse.
But
we had a neighbor that was a professional football player for the Texans when we lived in Texas. And he was a very big man. He was retired and he had boys. And we said, how come your boys don't play football? He's like, I don't want that life for them. Because he suffered concussions. He had to have like knee replacements. There's all sorts of things that he suffered because of that. And so, that kind of really opened our eyes at that time to, oh, wow, I guess he's got a good point here, But I think a lot of the people, the people that are still kind of wrapped up in things, the way that they view it is, oh, well, they're getting paid good money for it, And,
but it's when you have those people that say, oh, they're supposed to be using their celebrity for good and this and that. And then they're putting even more pressure on them. I'm like, the nerve of you guys, like, y'all don't even understand what those people are going through, generally speaking. And then you think that they have to also do this. Like the amount of pressure that society is allowed to impose on them is criminal. It is
Right.
truly criminal.
Yeah.
May
And
I?
let's, oh, I'm sorry, Debra-Ann, go ahead.
may I feel like this is an interesting segue or an interesting detour, because I find it to be a detour because we can't do anything about what is actually out there that could be evil being done to other people. What this whole idea about sin, for me, the focus was on the individuals in our assemblies that need to look at themselves and decide what it is they're doing as far as living the golden rule, and being able to make our assemblies function. So, for example, this is not true and this isn't happening, but I remember reading in some of Anna's articles about, well, you have someone who is seducing someone else's wife in the assembly. That's what I would call falsehood, not truth, and not self-governing or sin, however you want to call that. Those kinds of things
Coveting.
that happen in the assembly. So you have people trying to hide things from one another because, it doesn't make them look good, right? That's a falsehood. It's a type of lie.
Right.
So anywhere there's this kind of environment that we allow to continue without focusing back on ourselves and speaking truth to what's part of our lives. I can't do anything about the football player. I can't do anything about the woman that decided she wanted to starve herself to be a beautiful woman on the cover of a magazine. And I can't do anything about the rock and roll stars, but I can do something about my own life. I yield.
Hey, we can also not do something about that woman or that man coveting the other somebody. We can't do anything about all of their lies, except we can be honest on the assembly and say, look, we rebuke evil and we are not entertaining that. I cannot tell you guys, well, I can tell you both, and I'm sure you both hear this as well, that, people all over the earth are emailing me and saying, hey, this is happening, that's happening, this is happening, that's happening. We need you to tell Anna this and tell Anna that. How can we get an audience with Anna? Or, something of that nature, right? And I'm like, okay, well, join me on my Saturday call. Because if what you want to say is something that she needs to know, you can bring it. We can put it on the record. It'll be on a transcript. We can share it, whatever. And then when we're sharing things here, whatever we're sharing here, they have something to say about it. Oh, you don't know the truth about this lady or that lady or whomever. And I'm like, I do not entertain gossip.
Right.
And I will not support any of you guys, bearing false witness. I won't be a participant. So if you have something to say, or you think somebody is wrong, or there is a problem, or whatever, I don't need a secret meeting with you for you to tell me all about it. Come on my Saturday call, tell everyone about it, because I am going to go out and tell everybody about it.
Yeah, and I think too, Niti, you have to start wondering, what is the purpose of somebody sharing this, right? Like, what are they looking to get out of this? Like, for me, when we were having some struggles on our assembly, I had reached out to people that I had, respected and admired, and tried to get some advice as to what they thought I could do. I wasn't calling them and talking to them to just gossip about it. Like, I got a problem. I need a solution. Can you help me find a solution? Because that's really the intent.
Yeah.
And
put it on blast, Tammy. Put it on blast. Look, this is what I learned. And you tell me if I'm wrong, okay? Tell me if I'm wrong. So I put them on blast, right? And then I say, great. Well, if you want to say whatever you want to say, come say it on Saturday. You want to know who never comes?
The ones that like to gossip?
the ones who are gossiping, I challenge anyone who wants to challenge anything I've said publicly on the record and come and talk with me about it on the record. And otherwise, shut up. And you know who's not going to come? Any of those people.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It seems like we do have some people that we're dealing with that really enjoy stirring up trouble.
Do
And
you
they're
think
not
they enjoy it,
interested.
Tammy, or do you think they're
Yeah.
paid? Do you think they're paid, or do you think they enjoy it? What do you think?
It could be both. It could be they really enjoy it and they're getting paid.
They're making money, girl. They're making all the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm just seriously asking everyone. Sorry.
Yeah. And so, you know, the best way, and again, because I'm all about finding solutions to these kinds of problems, the best way that I see this having a solution is just don't entertain the gossip. You know, like just don't, you know, if somebody keeps going at it, you know, I was just recently on a Telegram page and somebody posted an old article from 2021 about the PKTF, and you know, and I'm like, what is the point in sharing this right now? Because the PKTF is doing an amazing job. They've got an amazing team. They got their act together. They're moving forward. They're successful. So what's the point of sharing this? I just don't understand. And they're like, well, because Anna, these are Anna's words, and Anna stated, yeah. And you know what? We are growing and evolving. And as we are growing and evolving, things change, right?
People learn. We learned. Everybody.
Yeah, we're learning. We're learning. When we know better, we do better. And so, you know, so to me, it just seemed like they were trying to start trouble because most people wouldn't click on the link and actually look at the actual article to see when it was published. They would just read the article because there was two things. There was a link to the article, and then there was a copy and paste of the article. Now, if you're just trying to skim through things and look through it, you're not going to look and go the extra mile and see when it was published, right? And so to me, if they really wanted to point out certain topics of the article, they would have said, I'm sharing this article because I found X, Y, and Z in this article, very valuable information. But keep in mind, it's an old article, right? Mm-hmm. But they didn't. So anybody that was just looking at it at face value and skimming through it wouldn't see that it's old. And they'd be like, oh my God, the PKTF is in trouble again. You know, like, and so this is where the problems occur. This is where the attacks are taking place, misinformation or misguided information. And to me, they're just stirring up trouble. That's a troublemaker.
You know what's so sad about that? I'm sorry, Debra-Ann. I was just going to say that what is sad about it is that as long as people continue to operate in this slave mentality, we will remain in bondage. One more person asked me, like, when is the bank open? And when is this happening? When is the forward movement happening? When are we going to be free? When are you going to stop lying? When are you going to stop lying?
Yeah. Or better yet, the banks are going to open when you have your assembly fully functional. So what are you going to do to get it fully functional? Do you want the banks to open? Then there's your incentive.
So we were talking about gossip. Everything y'all said is great. But we were talking about gossip and maybe a possibility. My daughter had a piano recital this last weekend that I went to, and I got to meet her teacher's father, and I asked him what he did, and he had been a pastor for many years, and he was retired. And I talked about my family's heritage coming from Mexico, and he told me about his trip down there. And he was in a little town down there, and there was the town gossip that caused a lot of trouble. And they were trying, and so he was bringing, the gospel there. So we started out with the idea of the Bible and scriptures. And this woman went from being the town gossip to being in charge of the children's daycare facility.
Oh boy.
She stopped gossiping. And I looked at him and I said, she just needed something to do. So I'm wondering if the people that are gossiping in our assemblies just need something to do. I'm going to have to think about that when I think about the people that are, stirring the pot.
I mean, that's quite possible, but listen, Anna is a huge threat around the world, and we need to be honest about it. She's a threat because we are freeing all men from bondage. And until we address this head on and speak openly and honestly about it, then we cannot have the solidarity that we require. And we need solidarity. Everybody wants to talk about the healing and the this and the that. That's your personal self-governing job to do on your own. And what we need are the ones that can go ahead and stand up and move all the other folks to the side. That doesn't mean that they don't have a voice. That doesn't mean that we oppress them. It doesn't mean that, we hate them or feel anything about that. It's not judgment in that regard. But you have to have the powerful, knowledgeable people who can move forward in knowing, because Anna, it moves in knowing. She moves in decreeing. She moves in fact and in truth, and she can't wait on anything else. And I mean, what an incredible force how fortunate are we when you read her latest article, one of her latest articles. I know there's like 25 million of them right now. They're all like, like she's just spitting them out. But when she's saying that I am the light, or whatever she says, I have to pull it up, but she is saying, we tried not to fear you. I mean, not to intimidate you. We could have scared the crap out of you. She's like,
I know what article you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about, where she's requesting them to use their good senses, to use their heads. I could have done this, but I'm not.
Right.
I'm giving you time. We are hoping you are choosing well.
Right.
We need to choose well. We need to.
It is a narrow path. It's a very
it is a narrow path. It has to do with following some rules, which I think is anathema to people that have found their freedom from the de facto. But there still are rules. There's rules to engage with one another. There's rules, you might be a father and a mother and you have a 5-year-old. That doesn't give you a freedom. That gives you responsibility. So with sovereignty comes responsibility. And that responsibility is sometimes ignored, and to the point where you decide that someone who may be in your best interest because of the Assembly's best interest may be course correcting you. I mean, it doesn't have to be someone who's in a role. It could just be somebody in the Assembly. They see you doing something that is harmful, and they course correct you. They say, are you sure you should be doing that? Because this does not feel right. This does not feel good, and whatever. And what do you do with that? Do you get all mad about it? Do you decide to start talking bad about that person? Do you do you stop and look at yourself and go, what, maybe she may be right?
Or have gratitude that she gave you some feedback, right? Because I think that's really what we need, is to be accepting of the feedback, right? Because as we come across to people, it's hard to know how we're being perceived, right? And if somebody is giving you the feedback saying, hey, and I always try to approach things in a, I don't necessarily need to sugarcoat things, but I do like to present it where it's going to be better received. And so I try really hard, because sometimes I'm just very blunt with, hey, I'm on a mission here. I've got to get these things done. And sometimes I'm just so focused and just to the point that if I'm sending a text or an email, I always review it and I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound very, welcoming. Let me change the words here, and where it's going to be better, well received. And so I'm better at the texting and the emailing Although obviously when you're speaking to face to face, that's even better. But yeah, I do find myself catching myself at times, because I do want to be received well.
Mm-hmm. I
Well,
think
if you were
that
working with me, Tammy, I would love it because I'm a get it done person. It's like we only have so much time in the day.
Yes.
This is what I need you to do. Do you
it's
really want 3 minutes of my stroking your ego before I ask you?
Yeah, no, I don't need any of that. Just give it to me straight. I'm just very a straight shooter. Just give it to me straight.
I think that's why all of us get along. This is what I loved. I am one of the shining ones, the exact shining one appointed to do this work. My glory has only been hidden from you because we don't wish to scare you into obedience. We want you to choose the right answer by using your own logic and following your own hearts, because your development and growth of wisdom is what is most necessary for success, not a small-minded and self-righteous attention to details, most of which you do not comprehend anyway. So yeah, it's just being honest, right? It's like it's just being honest. It's
Yeah.
simple. I'd say in what you were talking about, Tammy, is I'm always trying to figure out what is the simplest thing I can say about that. And I was talking the other day with Tony from Ireland, and he said something really great because we were sharing information, and I was telling him, I said, he asked me a question. I said, well, do you remember there was this conversation, and Anna said nothing. Do you remember that? And he was like, oh yeah. I go, but somebody else kept saying, but what did Anna say? Nothing. Even all the way after they finished. They said all their stuff. They said it all the way. And they even said, thank you, Anna. Okay, great. I yield the floor. Anna said nothing. She didn't support them. She didn't spank them. She didn't say anything at all. They self-promoted themselves. And she just smiled and sat and said nothing. And Tony was like, yeah. He goes, we really need to pay attention to what Anna says. And when she says nothing, we really need to pay more attention.
Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed those moments as well. And speaking of keeping things simple, my assembly, we just had one of our Joel assembly trainings last night, and I think people are nervous to get the courts up because there's still so much that they need to learn. But I really feel like it's not as complicated as we're making it to be. And that, like Anna keeps reminding us, the truth is simple, and coming at it with a critical thinking mind and keeping it simple, I think, is probably the best motto that we could follow. And all the little minor details, we'll fine tune those as we go along. But I feel like if we're focusing so much on those little minor details, that's going to get us hung up on moving forward. And it's going to prevent, and it's going to overwhelm and scare people from actually initiating and taking the next steps to move forward. So I like the keeping it simple.
I love you brought that up because I do believe you're absolutely right on. It's simple. If I had to bring something in before a court, if I had 12 people there that I knew were honest, were upright, and they could, so what that they didn't know all of the common law history or whatever, but they could listen and hear both sides and be honest, listening to their heart, listening to the facts, asking questions. Just to have 12 honest people that don't lie would be the greatest gift you could have in any court. And that is not a bunch of details. That's about who they are.
It's the electricity. It's the frequency. And American common law, Anna has said it over and over again. It is based on the natural law. Okay, so the natural law is enforced not by man, it is enforced by the universe. So if we, we shouldn't feel like we have to worry about that, about enforcing it. We shouldn't. That's the reason why you're supposed to just love yourself, and you're supposed to love your brother as you love yourself. And if you do that, it is the law of one, because I am you and you are me. And we are one. And that is all. And if you're looking at whatever the circumstances, the thing I didn't like about the recording, Deborah, the reason I was like, I can't really listen to this, is because it is so like judgy. It's so like, if you are so this and you might be worthy and you must ask for this, and I don't have to ask for anything. Okay. Like, no.
I take all those minor details with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
I was just like,
yeah. You'd have to know who this gentleman is. He's not religious at all. So the interesting thing about him is, and you all have not seen this video, but it's on Rumble. And it's by a man called, I forgot his name. Anyway, he was part of the Brotherhood. And the Brotherhood is like one of those secret societies above all the secret societies, who got out. And because he got out, they and he was straight up with them. I don't like what you're doing. Yeah, you taught me how to do all of these things. I can move energy. I can change things. I have power. You taught me how to tap into it, but I don't like what you're doing with it. And so, he now has, because of him getting out, he has like millions and millions and millions of dollars that he owes, and he was in prison for, I don't remember how many years. But this man is not a religious man. He's a man who knows what higher consciousness is, higher vibration is, and he knows that all of the scriptures, the Gitas, the Bible, whatever, Islam,
all the religions that they've
all the religions, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But his point was, there are natural laws in the universe, and some of these are written down in such a way that this is how you listen to them and move forward. Mm-hmm. And part of it has to do with treating everybody the way you want to be treated. Yeah. Kindness and love.
Mm-hmm. I like this comment that Juan's making, because if we really want to make a quantum leap and break the bonds as fast as possible, then it would behoove all of us to, listen to each other the way we're having this discussion right now, and sharing all of our variety of experiences in order to allow all of us to expand bigger, better, greater, stronger together. And then the solidarity that would come behind that is a big deal. It's not that we actually have to have numbers one. In my opinion, I don't really agree with the number part, but it is the frequency energy of each of our 30 trillion watts of electricity, actually moving as one force. And so I think that would be, that's the quantum leap we need right about now. The sooner that all of us are able to bring this piece together in solidarity of the truth, which does not mean, hey, I'm supposed to be your best friend, Tammy, and your best friend, Deborah, and we're supposed to, it's not about that. We have to be ourselves, our unique selves, who maybe don't want to be together that long because we're all busy doing our thing, because we're the geese, right? We're doing our thing, and you want to do your thing, and I want to do my thing, and, so, but we just need to have the one mind of live and let live.
Yeah.
With no question. It can't be all this other crap of, okay, live and let live only if it can't be it has to be just, that's it.
Yeah. And I love, and I would encourage everybody, if they haven't already, to explore the other religions, because, like you said, Debra-Ann, I mean, if you want to, because at this point, like you're saying, Niti, like, we're here to love and cherish each other and live in harmony on this beautiful earth that the Creator gave us. But if you are curious and you want to know about the other religions, I really encourage you. When I was in college, I took a religion class, and I did get to learn about all the different religions. And I thought, wow, they've got a lot more similarities than they do differences. And I think that there's this misconception, there's a propaganda campaign going out there to hate on one religion versus another. It's just like it's the same old shtick that they do with everything else, getting something that they can use to divide the people and get them to fight with each other. But the fact of the matter is that we're all here on this planet because God created us to be here. It doesn't matter what religion you follow. Obviously, we don't agree with Satanism. That is not that is definitely not something that is accepted. In fact, I think we've said we want all evil to leave this planet. So, but the major religions, and Anna has spoke on this, right? The major religions, they are in alignment, in agreement with the 10 Commandments. Like thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not covet, thou shalt not steal, lie. All these things are really similarities that we share amongst the major religions. So.
Tammy, that was really great, because I I have to say, Niti, I was introduced to the Hinduism when I was in India, and I have to say, one of the things that I came away from India, there was a lot of outward chaos in Mumbai, was where I was at, but the people in the midst of physical outside chaos with cars and animals and all that stuff, every being there was peaceful. They were internally peaceful. The outside was chaos, the internal was peaceful. And there was such a respect for every person that talked to me. It was a namaste, namaskar. It was, I see the God in you. That is something that doesn't happen here. And so when I came back from India, it was a culture shock going there, and then coming home was a culture shock coming back, because here the streets are clean, the roads, the cars they follow the lights, there's stop signs, people stop.
A lot of order
inside, a lot of order, but inside the people are anxious, disturbed. Yep. And here we are trying to build an assembly with peaceful people who are anxious and disturbed.
It is true. Visually over there, it is very difficult for us. It's very chaotic. It's really stressful, but they laugh off so much. I remember being in the car in New York, in the city, with my father-in-law, who was born a sovereign. He and his brother were the first to actually have to get a job in the corporatocracy, because their family in all these thousands of years had their land, they had their fiefdom, and they did not go to a job. They had their own money, they had their own everything, and they were fully sovereign and intact until my father-in-law and his brother, that generation. And out of his brothers and sisters, there were 7 or 8 of them. Only the 2 of them, well, I guess a few of them actually, like some of the girls went to work too, but not like really. The 2 of them actually had careers. Okay. And then my husband, and his generation, or our generation, but we're trying to take our kids back to the land and be like done, because my son's not going to do that, right? Like he's doing it a little bit right now, but we're trying to get back, right? So we're trying to get them hurry up back as soon as possible. My father-in-law, he was working as a counselor with the drug addicts, saving men off the street in New York. And he would go, in the winter, it was really hard. He would go and pull them out of the street and bring them inside into the warmth and try to counsel them Like, what kind of patience do you have to do this? Okay.
Right.
And this was his job. But like I remember I went with him to the store, and you know what it's like up there. It's crazy. And so you're
Yeah.
trying to park the car. Everything's for me, coming from here, it's exhausting. The energy is
Yes.
so
Yes. It's draining for
it's
sure.
it's
Yeah.
an energy suck. So like I'm just like, oh God, can we just need two things. I don't even really want to go in the store. And he's all joyful, like he's so excited to go into the store to see whatever. And he likes to just go be immersed in the people and whatever. So anyway, we go, and this lady's literally cussing him out about a parking spot. And he's just laughing. Like he's just giggling like a 5-year-old. And
That's a great kind of attitude to have, especially when you're in New York and those kind of things happen.
right. I'm just observing him, but he is like truly like, girl, this is not that serious. It's just a parking spot. And
Right.
he even said to me, he goes, these people, they're so upset about the parking. There's so much parking over there. We just, he goes, let's just go there. We just will park. I mean, like, it's okay. There's spots. It's not like there's not another spot. She only wants that one. And he's like, oh my goodness. I said, uh-oh, he said, he said, Niti, isn't that silly? Look at all the spots in the parking lot. There's more spots.
When I was in my early 20s, because I moved to New Jersey in 96. I was 21, somewhere around there. Anyway, I was pretty high strung too. But I learned that was around the time when I started doing my own inner reflection and my own inner healing and my own inner work. And I can remember there's a lot of road rage around here. Like people flipping each other off, giving them the bird because they cut them off, and this, that, and the other thing. And I learned from an early age that I'm not even going to entertain that interaction. I'm just going to let them all go, wave them hi, and just be in my peace. And so, there's a lot of road rage and people hurrying, and they're angry because they're sitting in traffic. I tell people, I'm like, just watch a podcast if you're sitting in traffic, like make use of your time, like you can't change the fact that there's traffic, so just make the best of it. Having that different attitude, I think, kind of like your father-in-law going into the city and just kind of laughing those things off, I think is really the kind of attitude we need to have, even, what would it look like in our assemblies if we did have the deranged people coming in and disrupting things and everybody just kind of laughed,
It's true. If you're just like, are you done now? Because
yeah.
Okay, cool. Did you get it all out?
Yeah, if we could
Good.
maybe lean towards having that lighter sense of humor, maybe this would be a little bit, easier maybe to deal with
Well,
the tough interactions,
they're trying to make everything so serious.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just look at it like the parking lot. There's so many spots, right? So if we're looking at it from the perspective of our court is supposed to be as simple as nature's law, okay, then there's not that much to be trying to figure out.
Right.
You know what I liken it to, and tell me what you think. Did you guys ever watch Green Lantern?
Yeah.
So Green Lantern, Debra-Ann, sorry you haven't seen it, but like Green Lantern had, whenever he was, I guess, on a mission, because there was many Green Lanterns. It wasn't like just one guy or whatever, but like it was focused around the one for the show. Okay. So he would have to go to the council, and when he would go to the council, they're all just sitting, listening. He has to present a thing. They make him think about whatever. He doesn't necessarily like it. But can you imagine if our court was this council of all the the living men who are members of the jury pool, right? And they're all just there listening, because you're not going to like go crazy, just listen, you know? And then you just point out, because amongst everyone brings a different experience, a different perspective. And if everyone can just go around and say, well, what about this? And ask the questions and by the time it's all over with, how is it possible if all of us are seeking to solve it and not seeking to hang everybody? Because we have to want the solution to be peaceful.
Right.
So if we're trying to bring it into peace and everyone's watching and looking and pointing things out, why would there ever be a problem? And if that is the way that it's run and that is it, what's so hard about that? I don't know. I yield.
I think it would be very, very simple, just like you said. If each member that's a juror is self-governing, peaceful, and doesn't need to have any attention, doesn't need to be the center, doesn't need to prove a point, doesn't need to be I'm right rather than, focusing on the thing at hand. Yeah, it's, do we trust the people that are serving with us? Do we trust what, and I shouldn't be saying that, but
well, we have
I
to.
have a
I
reason.
said solidarity. I said we have to come together in solidarity. Didn't I say it?
Yep.
So until we can stop lying and come together in solidarity, then we have to come in solidarity and stop acting like, we got to throw the ego out the door. And why do you need your ego when someone's life is on the line? And this is the bigger take home point is, our land jurisdiction law is draconian. We don't play. We do not play. So you must come with the truth and fact. And why are you bringing anything outside of the actual situation? And why is it that you want to plan the hanging of someone? Are you crazy?
Right. Well, maybe the question that we should be asking, right, when if chaos and disruption occurs, maybe the question needs to be, what is it that you want? What do you want?
Girl,
Right.
they don't know what they want. That's the part. This is the thing. Everyone needs to sit together. We should do the sitting down piece of paper thing where we just sit down and we just write until we figure out what we want.
I think also part of the issue is there are so many people in our assemblies, and maybe it's not every assembly, but they're so busy with litigation and a fight mentality because they're fighting the de facto. They forget when they're on the land and soil dealing with one another man or another woman, it's not a fight.
No.
So guess what? If you quit focusing on litigation and you only focus on our courts, then you don't need their litigation. Hello. Anna said, get the court up. Why are you in their courts? Anna said, get the courts up. Why are you in their courts? Anna said, get the courts up. Why are you in their courts? She keeps saying it over and over and over and over again. And no one seems to ever hear this message of, excuse me, can you get your courts up so that we don't have to go to their courts? Okay, but when are you going to get your courts up? Okay, because we don't want to go to their courts.
Yeah. And I like what you just pointed out, Debra-Ann, because I feel like that is a big focal point too, is this fight mentality, right? And not to press blame or shame on the people that are, wrapped up in that, but it is part of coming out of the matrix and out of the de facto, because that is the mentality that we've been living in for so long. So instead of fighting and fighting and fighting, we're trying to create and reboot and restore something that was already in place to allow us to live in peace and harmony. And so, that's just something I think for people to wrap their heads around. If you're wrapped up in litigation issues, some people some people have certain litigation issues that they didn't seek it out. It kind of was, forced upon them. So I don't, this isn't to blame or point fingers, but if you're spending the majority of your time focusing on learning all the UCC stuff and getting so good at knowing that and citing that and whatever else, then you're not putting the energy, the time that we need into creating our assemblies. And that really is where the focus needs to be, is the creation, rebooting, restoring, figuring out, how is this supposed to work, and what are we to do next, and those kinds of things, instead of the fighting. I know for me, when I first came onto the assembly, there were people at the time that were putting the placards on their car and all this. And when I found I had this newfound freedom without knowing all the information, I was like, oh, you mean I could drive for free? I could travel? This is fantastic. I don't have to pay tolls. All right, let's do it. So I put those placards on my car. I stopped registering my car. And for about 6 months, I did well. It went down the Jersey Shore, didn't pay a dime in those tolls. And I parked in a municipal parking lot, didn't pay a thing, didn't get a ticket. And then lo and behold, 6 months later, I was traveling on, just taking my dogs to get groomed. And I had my kids in the car, and in a small town nearby, they pulled me over. And I literally thought in my head, oh, cops are supposed to be our friends. Cops are here to protect us. I know a lot of cops. They're good guys. If they were to pull me over, they'd listen. They'd have a conversation with me. And, maybe the worst, they'll give me a ticket. Oh, no, I was in for a rude awakening. And they pretty much threatened that they would yank me out of the car, handcuff me in front of my kids, and take my car. So I could either willingly give them my car, or I could have them drag me out of my car. So I willingly gave up my car, and, it was a big ordeal, whatever. And so we chose, because I did go and did the whole process, did all that stuff. And maybe perhaps now it would have been a different outcome, perhaps, because I'm more knowledgeable and I'm more confident in who I am. But back then, I didn't know all the things that I needed to know to have that kind of fight. And I didn't want to be spending my time constantly getting pulled over and dealing with that, because that's how the cops are around here. And so I had to make the choice of how was I, what do I want to do? Do I want to spend more time fighting the cops, risking that, while I'm traveling and I'm taking my kids to their events and picking their friends up? Am I going to get pulled over? Or am I just going to put those plates back on my car, travel as if I'm just, operating in commerce, and focus on getting my assembly assembled and rebooting my assembly? So I chose the other choice, because we don't have the time to do it all. And
everybody has to pick their battles, and everyone has to know what they can do. We've been doing this for a long time. So we started out by driving around in expired tags for a couple of years, but then we've been, we have our private plates. We have been successful with it. We did go through all the harassment. We also have calloused our court system here. Now they know that we're going to come in, and they don't want us to come in. They know that we're going to report the crime and we're going to put it on the record, and they don't want it on the record. The clerk of court on our county here knows us, and they're just like, oh crap, here they are. And the cops know. They see us. They're like, okay, no, never mind. But it wasn't in 1 second. It wasn't until after several stops. It wasn't like they didn't try to enforce a lot of things. It wasn't as if we didn't. I mean, it's like getting a suntan. You got to get your sun callus.
Gotta get the base, yeah.
You got to get the sun callus in the winter, in the spring. Make sure you're getting enough sun. And then by the summer, you're good. Okay. But you can't just go out. Okay. You have to maintain a sun callous and work it out. But if you're not exercising the law,
Right.
then there's no way to do that. And yeah, look, hey, I think that there's enough of us doing enough variety of things so that all the things are in play, all the things are happening. And what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with the ones who can exercise the law, the ones who can, work on those remedies, who can do those things. And then you got the other ones. But then can we all come together and see that natural law is so easy? American law is so easy. And why can't we get our court up? Because everybody is too busy on their agendas. Everybody is too busy in the details of making this complex something, because we're used to everything being so complex.
Yeah.
And it's not. This isn't that complex, but it's hard to believe how real it is and how easy it can be and how natural it can come to us. And hence the reason we're having these conversations, because we have to normalize it. This is the real media. And unfortunately, we can't repeat it for you. You're going to have to choose to go back and listen to the recording over and over and over. So I yield.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was really good, because I'm thinking what we need is a switch that goes switching from needing what we need to do with the de facto back to land and soil, because it's two different jurisdictions, two different mindsets.
Yeah.
And right now we're living through a transition.
Hey, the duality must be recognized as well. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to know that this is a time of duality, and that doesn't have to be the bad word. It doesn't have to be that, they say, we don't want people who are operating in a dual mindset, but at the same time, we have to be dual minded as we are making the transition. It doesn't mean that we aren't conscious of it. We can't know about it. We can't operate on both sides. And then no, that's why Anna says we have superior, concurrent, general jurisdiction. We can contract if we want to. We can contract and we can operate in the way that we need to, based on what is working for us, based on how we need to live. And there is no reason for us to fear the contract or whatever if we know that that is how we're going to handle the things.
Right.
And you just have to know it. You have to know what the costs are for that, whatever it might be. Maybe the cost is writing a lot of notices, sending a lot of notices, having somebody on go ready to deliver back a ticket or whatever you're going to do. You have to either be proficient with that or you have to be ready to pay the difference. But there is an exchange of energy no matter what. You're going to have to do it because they are still so uneducated and they don't recognize us because we've been gone for so long. And until we've exercised our American common law, it isn't common right now. Hello?
Right.
We have to make it, we have to normalize it again. We have to commonalize it again. Bring it back into the common law. We have to make it common again. So that's going to require exercising it.
Right. Yep.
I don't know, ladies. This was so good. And guess what? It's been an hour and 8 minutes, and I feel like we're just at a good point. What do you think?
Yeah. I think we covered all the topics that, we wanted to cover today. And thank you guys for entertaining and having the space to talk about, the things that are unforbidden or not unforbidden. I'm sorry, that are forbidden to talk about. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. This is a great conversation. Go ahead, Niti.
I just wanted to thank all the people that tuned in and that are participating in the chat and, and here with us. And, we invite everyone to, keep coming back every week. And we really appreciate you guys. And I hope that they're, enjoying the replay and, share with us in the comments, what you think about our crazy perspectives that we brought up today. I don't, let's normalize this conversation, right?
Yeah, and let's get back to having conversations where, we can have different perspectives and we can still have cordial conversations, and we're not getting triggered, we're not getting, unhinged, and we still can love each other, and come back next week for more of it.
It's true. I mean, I really, I miss that about the 70s and the 80s. It's like everybody was so much more authentic, and we teased each other. Oh, girl, we know, Tammy, we're gonna have to listen to your blah 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 blah, or Niti, da 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 da, or Deborah. It was just a thing. But we also were like, wait a minute, where is Deborah? Where is I mean, we need that diversity, that tapestry. That was a fun, right?
Yep. Yeah.
That was our entertainment back then, wasn't it? We didn't have Netflix, okay? I mean, y'all remember back then when we only had the 2 channels? And then I remember when, broadcasting was only limited time and everybody would have to tune into the broadcast because it was only, there's only going to be broadcasting from 4 to 9 or whatever it was.
You're changing your TV channel with a dial.
Yeah.
And then there was only 2 or 3 of them anyway.
Right.
And I remember back then we would, no TV, you just go out cruising with your friends.
Oh, God, yes.
That was so
I
much
was
fun.
never home. I was never home.
No,
I
mean,
I rode my bike everywhere when I was young and didn't, have a car or anything. But I always say to my kids, I'm like, you making plans with your friends this weekend? I'm like, because I could drop you off. You could go get some pizza, see a movie, or play or go bowling or something. Like,
right.
it's all right there. You don't have to go far. And it's definitely different times. Like trying to wrap my head around it. The other thing that I find interesting too is that I would love to bring back dancing again. And I know that there's this whole thing with like the music industry and whatnot, but I personally feel like, and maybe this is another topic that we can discuss for maybe next week, but getting back to times when men and women looked at each other like God's children, right? Equal, but of the opposite, sex, but not as a sexual object, right? And what does that look like? What does it entail? For me, I always say in a past life, I must have lived like in the, I don't know, 1920s or something where men courted women. There was this, element of asking her to dance. And there was this era where they were respectful, right? And there was gentlemen, like, and there was these ways of treating one another and getting to know one another before anything else escalated along the path of their relationship. And I feel like nowadays, I mean, I go on Facebook and look at what some of these girls are wearing to their proms, and they look like back in the 80s that they could have been standing on a corner on 42nd Street.
We have cotillions here, Tammy, and there's actually ballroom dance classes and then these formal cotillions. And a lot of folks aren't really putting their kids in some of those classes because they're expensive. But I find it is well worth the investment when you put the sons and daughters in those programs, because they are training the men to be gentlemen
and leaders.
And leaders. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, and
Yes.
sovereigns. Okay, the
Yes.
sovereigns. So they and how to dress, because they have to dress for
Right.
these rehearsals.
Yeah.
And so the boys and the girls are learning all of that. The ladies are learning how to be ladies. how to actually honor the men and vice versa. And the ladies, the girls are all being, well, they're ladies, so the young ladies are all being taught how to set the tables, how to do, because they have, then what they do at the cotillion is they have a formal dinner.
Yes. Yeah. I remember they did that when we lived in Texas.
Yeah.
And I'd love to be able to bring that here to New Jersey. And strictly for the aspect of teaching our young people what it is like to have a relationship with somebody of the opposite sex that has nothing to do with their attractiveness or their physical features, that it is just being respectful and learning how to be genuine and authentic and dance with somebody without it meaning anything, right?
Well, it does mean a lot. It's an energy exchange. So I don't really agree
Right,
with that.
right,
It's going to
but-
be like that. I mean, it is 100% an energy exchange. It is just not vulgar. Okay. The problem
Exactly.
is that right now, the problem is that the society has normalized vulgar conversation.
Oh, yeah.
As if it is something to have in public. Like they're not appropriate conversations for the public. And
Right.
they have really normalized vulgarity, and they have not actually encouraged you. Why shouldn't you be excited to go dance with a man, or a nice young man, or handsome young man, or a beautiful young lady? Why shouldn't you be excited about that? Absolutely, you should be excited. It should
Right.
be
And
feeling good.
it brings into the social aspect of things too, right? And almost, that there's
But like, how should you be treated by a respectful man or
Yeah.
woman? I mean, the women have to be respectful too. These girls don't know anything about how to be respectful either, because they aren't
Right.
trained to love themselves and honor themselves. It's a
Right.
big problem.
Right.
And they are only learning whatever they're learning from these vulgar videos, and it's vulgar trash. I mean,
Yes. Vulgar, there's vulgarity, there's perversion, there's
yes.
there's so much that has evolved into what we have today. And so and I don't know if that's a topic that we want to expand upon maybe next week or whatever, but yeah, I just that was something that was on my heart. I think because having two teenage kids that are high school age. So
I agree. And all young men and women, I think that it would be wonderful for them to have access to that kind of thing all the way into their 30s. Like, it really needs to start for them when they're 8 or 9, and, train them into it and allow them to have a space to exercise and practice that, while they're young men and women, until they do find somebody. And through dance, I think it would be wonderful. And it's all classical, like classical music, like the music and all the cotillion stuff is it's not actually, they did change the frequency of the instruments and all of these things, but it's still the closest thing we can offer.
I'm really excited to see the artists that are wide awake and are creating music that is 532 hertz and energy healing music that's upbeat and healing to our ears, and that raises our vibration, because I think that the movement along with the music, all of it is really energy. And
we'll have to start hand making the instruments again, and I can't wait to see all these craftsmen and artisans be able to actually exercise their talents and focus on that and making those things instead of their job that they were doing before. Like, I can't wait to unleash the artistry that is being,
it's being withheld because everybody's forced to have a job and not, their passion or their calling that they're there to do. So it'll be beautiful to see that. I had a conversation recently with somebody, a fellow parent, and I asked him. He serves as, I believe, like a chief operating officer of a corporation, and I said, he's like, yeah, I kind of stepped into this fell into this because it paid the bills, right? So I said to him, I said, if there was anything that you could do that didn't require you to make a certain amount of money, what would it be? And he chuckled at me. He goes, he's like, I really am into the weather. He's like, I would have been like a weather forecast guy or like somebody that was into the weather. I'm all into the weather. He's like, I'm looking at the apps and I'm like, that's beautiful. I'm like, and I said to him, I said, well, get ready. That day's coming soon, I think. So, yeah.
Well, talking about dance would be kind of interesting, or that kind of situation for the young people, because I think about the Bollywood dancers and all that training. I mean, that's fabulous. And I danced as in ballet folklorico, which was all the Mexican folklore dance, and I mean, you learn so much when you do that kind of thing, and
and those
especially when you're
poses.
young.
The poses in
those are
any of
hard.
those traditional dances are
with
all
the hands, all the
and the
handwork.
eyes
Yeah.
and everything. It is because you're telling a story, and all those cultural dances were, and you had to do them. Most of them were barefoot, and they were in connection and earthing,
Right.
and I mean the whole shebang. I mean,
Yeah, and I was classically trained in ballet and jazz. I did hip hop and tap, and I remember one time studying in New York, and there was a choreographer there that was giving a class on African dance, and I thought, I think I want to give that a whirl. That was the best workout that I ever had. It was so hard. The next day, my back was killing me because there was a lot of forward and back motion. But yeah, it was really fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, we have so much to look forward to, so many things to talk about, and we appreciate everyone, and we thank you for joining us today, and we will look for you next week.
Yeah, thanks for
Thank
having
you,
us,
ladies.
Niti.
Thank you
Thank
so
you all
much
for coming.
Yeah.